It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Mandy the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody, it's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
And Les Webster.
Hello all.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Never
Not so
enough.
good right now, thanks.
Les is losing a battle with an inanimate object.
Woohoo!
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're good.
So what's been... I'm afraid to ask, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Oh no, it probably gets real mundane from here.
Yeah.
I for one am just sort of trying to be in catch-up mode. I got caught up on picking up my Knights at the Dinner Table magazines, and so I've got like 4 of those puppies that I'm back ordered on that I need to not back ordered that I just haven't read yet. That I got to catch up on. And I've talked about that before, so I don't need to go into a whole lot of detail. Yep. It's a gaming comic and a gaming magazine, and I'm probably the only person in Texas that actually reads the thing, but that's okay.
There's one other. I don't know about more than that.
Oh, that's right. You told me I was only one of 2 subscribers at the shop. Yeah. I forgot about that. Anyway, cool. That's good.
Yep. How about you, Les?
I've been catching up on some stuff. I found 3 issues of heavy metal, recent issues, that have 3 parts of a story by Donny Cates called A Tomahawk.
Woohoo!
And when I found out he did this, I wanted to see if I could find it, and luckily I did locate it in those 3 issues, for the starting of it anyway. I also watched a movie this past weekend that I recommend because it was part of my life. The name of the movie is All Stars, and it deals with the a youth softball team in California. I relate to this because I was a commissioner of a football league, the youth football league here in the Richardson area. And I swear I knew every one of those people in that movie. One of the coaches made a statement in the movie, and I got a similar statement from a referee at our games. The referee said it would be better if all of the parents were in a room watching the game on television.
I've heard that before too.
Mm-hmm.
Even for many different sports.
Oh, yes. But in the movie, the coach says it would be a lot better if all the parents were dead.
Wow.
Which is pretty brutal. But it is
dramatic.
a very amusing movie to watch.
Yeah, that reminds me of the old softball coaching days. That was fun.
Then you faced it.
Oh, sure.
The parents trying to coach their kids from outside the fence, and the kids not paying attention to the coach, but to the parent, who is not going to help him or her.
Right. They really don't know what they're talking about usually.
Yeah, they're not helping the coach. They're trying to. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I got lucky. We only coached for 2 years, and the reason I say we got lucky, partly that was lucky too. But the reason I say we got lucky was because we had winning seasons, both seasons, and so the parents didn't give us a whole lot of shit because what we were doing worked. But yeah, to be around like the league and going to the league meetings and stuff because you're a coach, and listening to parents showing up to these things and just being parents, being helicopter parents and all of that stuff. I got to see some of it. It's pretty interesting.
It's extremely frustrating.
Oh man. Yeah.
I was requested by one of the teams, by the parents of one of the teams, to sit in their stands so I could see how the referees cheated their team every week.
Wow.
And this was an undefeated team, yet they were so upset because they didn't think that their boys were treated fairly.
Let me ask you this: were you paying the referees for these games?
Yes,
Okay.
and the referees have the background of doing junior high, high school, and college games.
Nice. Yeah, see, and it's one of those deals where you're either paying people and they're professionals or semi-professional, as professional as those guys ever get, or you're not and they're volunteers and they're just picking on these poor 16-year-old little bastards standing out there doing the best they can.
Luckily, these referees held their own. They did not let anybody get away with anything.
Good. Oh, parents are the worst people. And I am one, so I know.
I don't know if you want to lump yourself in that category as far as being the worst.
Some days.
It is amazing that every child is a superstar. Every child is going to play pro.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no two ways about it. And this league is just holding them back.
Yep.
Wow. For me, I finally saw Star Trek Beyond. Saw that this past weekend. I had been kind of putting it off, mainly because I know we've had this discussion before, and I know Mike's feelings about the reboot or altered timeline, however you want to name it. When I saw the trailers for the first two films, I had some interest in it. I'm like, okay, this might be interesting. And then when the movie comes out, it was what it was. But when one for Star Trek Beyond came out, it just didn't really grab me. There wasn't anything there that goes, oh, I gotta go see this movie. But I still wanted to see it, so I had a chance this weekend, and it was okay. Yes, Sabotage, the song Sabotage is in the film, just like it was in the 09 version.
The Sabbath
I probably
song?
wouldn't. Huh?
The Black Sabbath song?
No, Beastie Boys.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, man, that's a callback and a half, but okay.
Well, I mean, they did call it classic music. Which
Beastie
I guess
Boys was 25, 30 years ago, so.
I know, but but I mean, they listed it as classical music, and it's like, okay, that's kind of cute.
In the movie, they listed
Beastie
Boys as classical music. See, Futurama pulled that joke years ago. They did it with, Baby Got Back. That was the one they did.
Yeah.
And this would have been season 2 or 3 of Futurama. So, years ago. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right. I had some problems with it. It was okay. It was an okay movie. I had some problems with the story. And yes, once again, we see the Enterprise destroyed. It would be nice if we can go through a couple in a row where we don't see the ship just totally destroyed. It happened to a lesser degree before the reboot or the revamp, but it's happened 2 out of the 3 films. So it's like, can we get away from that for a couple, and then maybe But it was okay. I don't know how much longer this version of Trek's going to go, but I don't know where they would go.
Hey, it's gonna go as long as it keeps making money. That's
That's
how long
true.
it's gonna go. So you'll
Yeah,
get
that's
another
true.
one.
Well, I know we'll get another one, but beyond that, who knows? Just anyway. Also, as some of y'all out there know, that I'm kind of a big fan of Turner Classic Movies Network, and this past weekend they did a 40-hour tribute marathon to Robert Osborne, playing a lot of his interviews and some of the things that he did uh, on the network. And I've noticed it before, but I guess now in hindsight, it kind of resonates a lot more. Or I guess I pay attention to it more now as someone with the podcast. We're starting to do more interviews and stuff, but his interviews are not interviews. And granted, in a lot of cases, he's talking to friends, but there is a more of a conversation there than a just a kind of a cold question and answer. There's a lot more of a give and take, and that was cool. That was kind of nice. It's something I probably didn't appreciate as much before, but now going that's. I mean, there was a love there because he loved the movies and he loved the stars that put the movies together. But there don't knock that he had a talent to make his guests feel comfortable and be able to be open and just go. It was really cool to see.
Yes, like you said, it was a sit down. Let's just talk and see how things go.
Yeah.
And I was really pleased to see the Alan Arkin interview. I thought that was a lot of fun because I've always enjoyed Arkin.
Mm-hmm.
And just to see the progression and how the films that he had done. And of course, they covered Catch 22 and the In Laws. Yet they did not, there were some that they did not talk about. His part in, was it Wait Until Dark?
Yeah.
That he was the villain.
Yep.
And also they did talk about the movie, the satire Simon, which I was hoping they would touch on anyway. But of course, Arkin has so many things. But Osborne had his list there, and he went through it. It was really interesting to see what was covered. And now that Arkin has a new movie coming out with Michael Caine and some others, I think that that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, you're talking about going in style with Morgan Freeman too.
Yes, sir.
I think everybody kind of knows their feelings about remakes and that kind of stuff. I'm interested in this. I love the original version with George Burns and Art Carney, and I can't remember the third actor. But this one looks like it could be a blast, and I like the cast. So this one might be a little fun. So I'm not apprehensive about this one. I think it might be a little fun. So I'm interested in this one. And if you're not familiar with the movie, it's been updated a little bit, but it's three older gentlemen who are obviously having financial problems, and they figured, hey, no one would suspect three old men of robbing a bank, and that's what they did. I'm trying to remember what was the original premise. It was along the same lines, but I think that the causes were different because in this one they're all working at a plant, judging by the trailer, and they're losing pensions, and I think we're getting laid off and that kind of stuff. So a little tweaking, but along the same concept, and it should be fun. It's a good cast. Like I said, it's Alan Arkin, Michael Caine, and Morgan Freeman in a comedy. That should be good.
Yeah, sounds workable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, I'm ready for this one. I think this will be fun, from start to finish.
Makes me want to go back and watch the original one again.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing that pops out to me off the bat is when their disguises to rob the banks and wear Groucho glasses.
Yeah.
So they had the glasses with the fake nose and the mustache. And you're just like, okay, alrighty then.
Makes you wonder how they're going to translate that into the modern era. Clown masks or something.
Something. As long as they don't have Michael Caine saying, "You know where I got these scars." Get it? Clown, scars, Dark Knight. Never mind. Never mind.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty then. Before we get into this week's discussion, we take a couple of minutes to thank our fine sponsors. First off, I want to shout out to Make My Indie. The new spring catalog's out. Woohoo! Mm-hmm. Came out the 20th. I've downloaded it. I've not had a chance to take a look at it. By the time this episode drops, I'm sure I've looked at it at least 3 or 4 times, making notes of which books I need to get. For those who don't know what Make Mine Indie is, it is a digital catalog that is free. It lists books of either print or digital or web comics. There's previews, reviews, interviews, a lot of good stuff for publishers that you're not aware of. So if you go to our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and click on our sponsors tab, right up at the top, you'll see the image for Make Mine Indie, and there will be a link there that'll take you to their website to download either the PDF or the CBZ form.
You can
and
also
like
get
I said,
it on Comixology.
You can get it on Comixology as well, and check it out. There's gonna be some cool stuff there. Hey, Mikey, have you checked it out yet?
I have not. I did not get a chance. I just downloaded it yesterday because, well, it just became available yesterday, and I had not had a chance today to look at it. I just popped it open. It's 114 pages, and very similar format to last time, with preview pages and such. Pretty stuff. There's some really good stuff here.
So go check that out. I also want to thank Things from Another World for sponsoring the fellowship. Great website. Got some awesome deals going on. For about another few days as this episode drops, you can get free domestic shipping on in-stock items, orders of $35 or more. So if you go to our website, once again, that's www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Click on our sponsors tab. Scroll down to the bottom. You'll see the information for Things from Another World. Click on one of those images. That'll take you to their website. That lets them know that we sent you their way. In addition to this deal, they have their evergreen deals such as 50% off Nick and Dent Comics graphic novels, 30% off pre-order manga titles, and 40% off select comic statues, toys, and other merchandise. So go check them out, take advantage of those deals, and let them know that we sent you their way. Alrighty. We were going to go one direction for this week, but unfortunately a tragic event happened over the weekend that we felt we needed to take some time to talk about. For those who you're longtime comics fans, you probably heard by now the passing of Bernie Wrightson over the weekend at the age of 68,
Hmm.
I believe.
Yeah.
Brain cancer. He's been suffering for a while. Things were looking good there for a while, and then he kind of deteriorated to the point to where he was retiring from drawing. But I think he was still. I don't know if he was still going to do shows or he
He
got to.
he did a couple more cons after that, but then it just got
It just got
to where
so
it
it
was
got worse.
kind of a
Yeah,
burden. Yeah, it was kind of hard for him to get around.
yeah. So he passed away over the weekend, and this is a tough loss. This is a legend in the industry, and we wanted to take a couple of minutes. We wanted to take a more than a couple of minutes. We probably couldn't do enough time
We'll
to praise.
we'll
But
fill
we'll do our best.
we'll fill a show with it anyway. It's the least we can do. A
Yeah,
little bit of a tribute here, you know.
a tribute to the legend. Who wants to go first and kind of give their thoughts? And Wes, you want to go?
Well, of course, Wrightson was a young man that started with his artwork very early. And when I found the fact that he was learning to draw by watching John Nagy on television, I was astounded. John Nagy had a television program about learning to draw from the 50s through the 60s. He was one of the first television programs broadcast across the nation. And yes, I remember sitting and watching John Nagy show you how to draw ellipses, circles, straight lines without using a ruler. He's a very talented man. And to find that Wrightson was influenced by this, to me, it was what drove him to pick up a pencil and begin his work. Wrightson was known for his couple of his creations. He was co-creator of Swamp Thing. He was also the co-creator of one of the Sandman characters, Destiny. And later, Neil Gaiman used that character in his books. Destiny was made, but it was not part of the mythos of Sandman originally. His artwork varied in the style. He would do lush pen and ink. He would do washes. He would do a kind of a cartoon style at times, just depending on what was going to be relevant to the story that he was doing. I personally remember some of his works, but before we discuss that, I want to ask you guys what you also know of Bernie Wrightson.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting that I actually hadn't realized, and I mean I knew that he had a big hand in the Heavy Metal movie back in the early '80s. What I didn't realize and learned recently was that wasn't the only movie he was involved with. He was involved in production design for movies that, quite frankly, surprised the hell out of me. He did some work on Ghostbusters, for example.
And we're talking about the '84 version.
Yes, we
Yep.
are. The other one that just really jumped out at me was I just had no idea. He did some work on the Serenity movie. He helped design the Reavers for Serenity, and I'm like, holy cow! How did I not know this? I mean, and he's one of those guys that he's just been such a big part of the industry for such a long time that it's almost I almost can't be surprised at how much stuff he's done that I didn't really even know about. And I'll be honest too. I mean, and this may be something that's bad for a comics reviewer to admit, but I when it comes to talking about art, I mean, I make a point in my reviews of talking about the art, but it's a struggle for me to do that because I don't have any artistic training at all. So I'm winging it a lot of the time, and I usually end up comparing something to something else I've seen, or basically just talking about how it looks to me. And I'm a completely untrained eye, and so I sometimes get a little wiggy when I start thinking about and when I'm writing about the art. And so I almost don't feel qualified to even talk about Bernie Wrightson's work just because there's so much there. Some of it is just amazing, and I wish I could talk about why I find it that way, but I don't feel like I speak the language well enough, you know.
I think you brought up some good things. People don't realize that he was involved with even the TV series of the Swamp Thing, or he was a concept artist for so many movies too. You have The Mist. He was a creature designer for the 2007 movie The Mist. I don't know if you ever watched it, but Biker Mice from Mars, I remember that TV show. And he was a designer there.
Wow.
Creep show.
No, I didn't know that. Wow. That's great.
And I would suspect that he was probably involved in Silver Bullet, because he did the art for the novella by Stephen King for Cry of the Werewolf. And that book was the basis for Silver Bullet. Unfortunately, it was one of those King movies, that did not translate well to film. But his art was phenomenal on it. And I'm very happy that I have a copy of it.
Yeah, he did quite a bit of stuff with Stephen King.
Yep. Well, you mentioned The Mist. That's based off of Stephen King. And, of course, Creep Show. I think that was the beginning of their relationship. Didn't he do, like, original poster work or some of the art that was used in the movie, or he did the book? I can't remember right now.
Yes, I think he was involved in the comic book that was featured in the movie Creep Show.
Okay.
Yeah, and he did the adaptation, the comic adaptation for it, and also illustrations for several other of his novels.
I remember when I was young, reading comic books, and seeing some of the ads, looking at some of the ads that were in the comics, and I remember one of them being for his Frankenstein, and just that one image it's now famous. And if you were on social media for the last week, or ever since the news came down, you probably saw that image 800 times of the monster in the lab to this day. I mean, I remember I'm seeing it in my mind's eye right now. I remember seeing it as a kid going, oh my God, what is this? Because it was so totally different from what I was, of the art that I was seeing in the regular books that I was reading. I didn't read The Swamp Thing when I was younger. It's been more recent that I've read some of that, and I've read some of the original stuff that he did the art for with and with Lynn Wein writing. It's just the amount of detail that he would put is just so incredible.
Yeah, see a lot of those pieces that a lot of us remember, those of us who, I don't know, maybe weren't as familiar with his work back in the 70s. A lot of that stemmed from that Frankenstein work, and part of that was that, I mean, that was like the novel for him. He that was like his favorite book ever, and so the amount of love that went into those pieces, it's just staggering, and the amount of detailed work, yeah, it's just I don't even know how to describe it, you know. It's just there's just so much there. You could stare at one of those, just one of those. There's like 50 of them or something, and one of them you could just stare at for hours because there's just so much there to see. It's amazing.
And he was the one that adapted the story. He tweaked it so his pictures fit. But it's not like he changed the story itself. He just made sure that it was a little more condensed than Shelley's book. And he was able to hit the right notes on anything and everything that he put in that book. The art was phenomenal. And I'm like you, Mike. I could sit there and just stare at it. It's a beautiful book to have in your collection. And I think it may even still be available.
See, I was about to go there. I just wonder with this that maybe we'll start seeing more collections of his work being put together. And I'm sure there are some people who are going to view it as profiting on his passing, but I think that art needs to be out there. And whether it's a new collection of, which essentially I guess was his last work, Frankenstein Alive with Steve Niles. Mm-hmm. You know, that as a complete collection, which I had actually looked up a couple of days ago to see if any of it was available, and only the third book, which it's been so long ago. This was about almost 3 years ago. I can't even tell you right now if the book was actually even finished. But even if it wasn't, having those 3 chapters in a collected form would be, I would get it so I could enjoy the art again. But I just wonder if we're going to see some of that, some of this stuff that maybe hadn't been seen in years, put together in some form of retrospective or something, so we can just truly appreciate.
Right, and to give us kind of access to maybe some of the stuff that hasn't really been in print lately.
Right.
For those of us who would want to.
Oh, I think there would be a lot that would want to.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
I am one of those. Would love to have some of these collected. And like I said, he's done horror, he's done drama, he's done comedy, and it's good to know that he can, or he could, branch and get whatever he wanted accomplished there.
Right. He was not a one-trick pony.
Not by a long shot.
Right.
Now, the majority of his work, I believe, was with DC, but he branched out, did Marvel, some of the newer groups with Image and Dark Horse, but also some of the older with Kitchen Sink. And to me, that means a lot. I remember having copies of his work with Pacific Comics. He did a 4-issue series, Master of the Macabre, He also did a single issue of Twisted Tales. It's nice to know that I've got some of this stuff stored away, and I do pick it up every once in a while just to see what's going on. It's beautiful stuff to read and look at.
Yeah, he did some stuff for Creepy and Eerie too back in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and Vampirella.
Mm-hmm.
You can look through there and you can. I'm looking at Wikipedia, of course, but I don't remember it. But he did National Lampoon Encyclopedia of Humor. He contributed to that.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of my favorite reads from the first issue. I love that magazine.
I mean, he even did a parody of Swamp Thing for Bungo Comics, part of the Treehouse of Horror, which I would love to see that. I did not know he did that, but that's awesome.
I think I've got it somewhere in my vast stash. Could not find it for the world, I'm sure, but
You're a great collector, but maybe not so much of an indexer.
that too. Well, let me ask you guys this. What do you remember? I know Thomas said Frankenstein. Mike, do you have a favorite that you have seen or know of? One of his works?
I mean, I came to all of this kind of late in the game, so honestly, Frankenstein is where I have seen a lot of what I've seen has been from that. The Frankenstein Alive Alive, I remember reading that as it was coming out, like I said, a couple of years ago, which was really kind of cool. But honestly, I mean, it wasn't that I didn't know he was drawing it, but I came at it more through more through Steve Niles than him, and it was one of those like, oh hey, there's a new Steve Niles book. I'm like, oh, Bernie Wrightson's drawing it. That's awesome. And so I don't know. Like I said, I feel almost a little out of place talking about him at all, just because it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just that I just my ignorance is glaring this week.
Well, you do know that he also did Captain Stern
Right.
for Heavy Metal, and I'm talking outside the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, and see, you talked about comedy. I mean, seriously, in the movie, the Captain Stern sketch was comedy. It was there was definitely some stretching of the artistic muscles, but that was funny, you know.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And
I've
yeah, and
got
then there
an
was.
angle.
And yeah, he did another mini series in '93 with Stern.
Yeah, with Kitchen Sink Press.
Mm-hmm. I have not seen that. I would like to, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, it would be interesting now that Heavy Metal's doing comics. I mean, actual comics, and not just as part of their magazine format. That maybe they might go back and bring these back. Who knows?
That would be cool. That would be very cool.
It would be.
That
would be very cool.
Badass.
What publisher do you think? It would be nice for Heavy Metal to do it, but what publisher do you think would step up and do it? Dark
Honestly,
Horse?
I think it would be between Dark Horse and IDW. They're the ones that do a lot of the
collections.
The collections of the older stuff, of the older material.
Yes.
So I would think they would do it if anyone's going to do it.
Right. Whichever one of them could secure the rights. I mean, I would think IDW would have an inside track since he had done work for them recently. But...
Yeah.
Do you guys remember his work on some of the DC or Marvel titles? I know, Mike, you're a latecomer to him, but Thomas, do you remember any of them? I mean, obviously, yeah, Swamp Thing.
I remember Batman the Cult
Yes.
that Jim Starlin wrote. In one page, I kind of picture, and I hadn't looked at that. I hadn't looked at the trade in forever. But where I'm trying to remember right now whether it was Batman had been drugged or he had been hypnotized, and you're just seeing him literally kind of falling apart, and Bernie had broke these down in different panels of him just basically kind of collapsing. And I remember that going, oh my God, that was some great work. I can't remember who did the colors for that, but I remember being also impressed with the use of colors in that story as well. I'm trying to remember what else he made that he was part of that just kind of rings.
I remember the Epic magazine, the Epic Illustrated, that he had some work in, and Dreadstar. Dreadstar started in Epic by Starlin, but I recall Wrightson's work in that series, and he didn't stray too much from what Starlin had posted. Therefore, you didn't feel like there was a big shift in artwork. He was able to follow fairly close.
Do either of you guys remember the Batman Aliens thing?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's been recently has been recollected, I believe.
Has it?
In fact,
Yeah.
The DC Dark Horse collection of Aliens, Predators, Batman, Superman, and whoever else was involved.
Yeah, there's been 2 or 3 volumes of the DC Dark Horse crossovers that have been reprinted or have been collected real recently. I think another one's coming out here real soon, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember seeing the solicited image of basically Predators wearing the costumes of the Justice League, which is
Yes.
a very interesting image if you think about it.
Yeah, kind of.
I can't recall that crossover in particular. I know I've got it because I had bought all of those back in the day when they came out, but it's not ringing a bell right now. I wouldn't mind going back and checking it out, just even check out the art. But unfortunately, it's not ringing a bell to me right now.
Do you remember The Weird by DC 4-issue series?
I remember the advertisement. I did not pick up that book. I remember. I think Jim Starlin write that one too, or is that
Jim
the
Starlin? Yeah, was the writer on that one.
So Bernie and Jim collaborated a lot as well.
More than I could really recall.
Yeah, it's a big loss. Yeah, I'm not even sure what to say at this point. Obviously our thoughts and well wishes go to his family and friends, and to the comics world because he is a legend.
He was a well-loved guy.
That's another good thing. Thank you for saying that, Mike. Once again, another passing, and of course, not that anybody would just say a mean thing anyway, but everybody talked about such how sweet and kind-hearted he was, which is always a good thing to hear. But it's in this case, it's true that he was a well-loved gentleman, and we will miss him.
Yep.
Miss him greatly.
So, on that kind of sad note, we will take a break and come back for our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for our weekly picks. And this week, I lead off. For my first pick is X-Men Prime One Shot from Marvel Comics, obviously. And the reason I picked this is I've been hearing a lot of buzz about what's going on with the X-Men group. And I'm kind of liking what I'm hearing. It sounds like things are going to get a little bit more superhero-y, maybe not so much hunted, and some of the stuff that's been going on for the last, I don't know how long. But I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to give the 2 new books a shot. It's not like I'm reading a lot of Marvel right now. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the direction that the X-Men are going. Of course, one of the books will be written by Cullen Bunn. And the other one will be written by Mark Guggenheim, who's actually writing this Prime One Shot. So we shall see. Mikey, you are up next.
I am up next, and my first pick is an Image title, and it is Lazarus. Number 26 is coming out, and this puppy's been delayed a while. This is, I don't know if this is the end of the arc or if there's one more. This is part 5. I'm not sure if there are 5 parts or 6. But part 4 was back in October. So to be honest, I'm going to have to reread that sucker just to catch up to where this is, because I'm off the top of my head, I'm not even remembering where the story was, but I've missed this book. This is definitely one of my favorites. I've talked about it enough, and it's popular enough that I don't really need to describe it. But it's finally coming back. Woo!
Woohoo! Awesome. I just wonder what there was with the delay.
So do I, kind of, and I wonder if maybe we'll find out in like the back matter or something, but I don't know.
Yeah. Alrighty, Les.
I am going to start with Comic Book History of Comics, number 5 of a 6-issue series. This is put out by IDW, and in this issue, Fred Van Lent and Ryan Dunleavy, the creators of Action Philosophers, which is a fun read if you ever get the chance, bring the history to reflect fan base, comics, superhero evolution, and outer space. This has been a humorous yet informative series, and it's fun to see somebody take pot shots at their business, yet tell you enough about it to keep you interested in both that book and comics itself. When you get to find out a little more, it's always a lot more interesting.
Yep, this has been one of my favorites since it's been coming out, too.
Yep.
I am enjoying it, because of course I'm just enough of a history geek. This is just right up my alley.
And of course, Fred's a pretty humorous writer as well.
He is indeed.
Yes.
Cool. Alrighty, my second choice is from DC Comics. It is Titans Annual Number 1. Written by a favorite author of ours, Dan Abnett, with art by Minkyu Jung. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. This story actually sees the Titans teaming up with the Justice League for apparently saving the planet from alien invasion, which is always a fun task. I've loved how Abnett has been handling these characters. One of the things that's been a draw to me for the Titans is, unlike most teams, especially like a Justice League or some of the bigger named teams, Titans is a family. And even with everything they've gone through, they still are a family. And Abnett gets that and honors it and promotes it. And he's been doing an awesome job. So with this issue, the proteges and mentors get together once again and fight the good fight. Can't wait. Mikey!
Okay, I didn't realize this, but my second pick is also an Image book. Image is not the only company putting books out this week, I promise. There are actually a ton of books that IDW is putting out that are just as good. But this is the beginning of the second arc for Hadrian's Wall. This is issue 5. And if you did not read the first arc, if you have any interest in detective stories set in outer space, check this puppy out. Go back, get the first arc, and catch up, because this is a lot of fun. The main character is Simon Moore, and he is sent to a ship which is in orbit around, I think it's Saturn, if I remember correctly, to investigate the death of the guy who shot him over his wife, and took his wife and basically got him drummed out of the police force. And so he has to go investigate this guy's death, and he pretty quickly figures out that he was murdered, and his ex-wife is one of the suspects. And it's very, very noir-esque and not as science fiction-y as it might sound. Maybe we'll get into that in the second arc. We'll see, but it'll be fun.
Cool. I remember this series, but it seems like it's been a while since the last issue.
Yeah,
but
I didn't look to see when the last issue was.
It's all right. But cool.
December.
Cool
I mean, it's only been December.
Okay.
Oddly enough.
All right.
I kind of thought it was longer than that too, but
yeah.
Do you think it's quarterly or?
No.
No.
They took a couple of months off. They took 3 months off, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Image kind of does that.
Yeah, it's Image.
Between story arcs, and
they take
it just
breaks.
seems like those.
You get used to
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Alrighty, Les.
There's a new book, Doc Savage, The Ring of Fire. #1 will be coming out. I, as it's been explained several times, I'm a big Doc Savage fan. Always happy to see something concerning the character and his cohorts coming forward. This one is #1 of 4. The creative team is David Avallone, the writer, and Dave Acosta, the artist. In this one, Amelia Earhart is missing. This is in 1938. Also, volcanoes are going off under U.S. naval bases. There's a group trying to kill Doc Savage, and the topper is that FDR is quite concerned about all of this. I am a huge fan, and I'm hoping that this will give us a little more insight to his characters, and maybe even find Amelia Earhart without us knowing. But I'm pretty excited about this one coming through.
Yeah, I thought you might pick this one.
Yep.
Not too evident, is it?
I wasn't sure, but I thought you might,
I thought it was a possibility.
Mm-hmm. I actually am kind of looking forward to seeing it too. I'm curious to see how they handle it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out just to see. I think we all have honorable mentions this week.
I think so.
Okay, I will lead off. And for my honorable mention, to honor the holiday, because this will be coming out. Well, I know this will be coming out the 26th. So okay, all right. So just in time for the holiday. Three Stooges April Fool's Day special.
Oh, that holiday.
That holiday, yes. From American mythology. of course, writers and artists by various, because there's several stories if you've checked out any of the other one shots that they've done. I've been digging these books. I know Les has been getting them as well, but it's been kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of jarring sometimes seeing some of the stuff with them reacting to a little bit more modern day stuff, a la the movie that came out a few years ago. But still, it's been fun, and we have to have some fun in our comics sometimes. We can't all be serious and brooding and all that.
It depends on who you talk to.
Well,
I'm with you, though.
I like brooding.
I want fun. I want fun.
So, Mikey, what's your honorable mention?
Oh, my honorable mention. Oh, hey, this is not an Image book. This is published by IDW. And this is a hardcover collection of Starhawks. This is actually volume 1 that's coming out this week. And if you're not familiar, it is a classic 70s sci-fi newspaper strip created by Ron Goulart and Gil Kane. And there are going to be 3 volumes of this. And I think it will prove to be a really cool look back at, well, if nothing else, what was science fiction back in the 70s. That ought to be fun. But, I mean, anyway, to get a look at some of the stuff Gil Kane was doing at that point, I think it sounds like a cool thing, too.
Anything with Gil Kane's going to be pretty good.
And Starhawks ran, I'm trying to remember, 77 to 81. And in this newspaper, it was the only strip that ran 2-tier. And that's how they are presenting it in this book. Each page will have the 2 tiers from the comic strip. And then that way it will almost be the size of the strip itself originally. This should be interesting.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Les.
Well, guys, I have a couple here.
Okay.
First, I wanted to doff my cap to DC Comics for doing their specials that are coming out. The pairings of these specials are brilliant. One special, you have Adam Strange and Future Quest. Another, you have Green Lantern and Space Ghost. A third is Booster Gold and the Flintstones. And the last is Suicide Squad and the Banana Splits. To go out on a limb and bring the characters into the DC universe, or vice versa, whichever way you want to look at it, is genius. I don't think that they will have it happen again, but the initial stories in each is going to be a lot of fun. Then you've got turnarounds. You've got a secondary story in each. With Green Lantern and Space Ghost, you have Rough and Ready. Rough and Ready was a cartoon show that I would sit in front of the TV at 5:30 in the morning, wait for it to start at 6:30. But it was early Hanna-Barbera. With Booster Gold and the Flintstones, who else would you have at the secondary story is the Jetsons. Snagglepuss shows up in Suicide Squad and the Banana Splits. And the one that really is going to get me going, in Adam Strange Future Quest, you have Top Cat and Batman.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
And, I'm sorry.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it should be a lot of fun. On a more serious note, Tilbury House is bringing out Far Side of the Moon, story of Apollo 11's third man. In this one, you are dealing with Michael Collins, who was aboard Apollo 11 while the landing mission was going on, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, the famous landing, because in this one, Michael Collins found himself in total isolation for almost a day, 21 hours. He was out of contact with the mission, his fellow astronauts, and he had no contact with mission control of NASA during this run. He didn't know when his compatriots took off from the moon. He wasn't sure about the hookup with them, but they persevered, obviously. In this book, or in the setting, Collins looks at the politics and science, and of course the engineering that sent the Apollo 11 mission to the moon. This will be a graphic novel, but I think I'm going to run into my comic store tomorrow and make sure I get a copy of this.
Cool.
I'm sure they'll be thrilled to see you.
Mm-hmm. Going back to your first honorable mention choice, you talked about if this was a one-time thing. It's actually not, because June solicits came out for DC, and there's a second wave. And would you be interested in hearing the lineup?
No.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yes,
On that
I
note,
would.
Okay. Well, how about Batman Elmer Fudd?
Oh my God.
I want all the variant covers. Go. Okay.
Okay. All right. Second off is Jonah Hex Yosemite Sam, written by our friend Jimmy Palmiotti.
Okay. All right. I'll give Jimmy a shot on that one.
Okay. Legion of Superheroes Bugs Bunny. Lobo Roadrunner Special.
Okay.
Awesome.
And one from the no-brainer department, Martian Manhunter, Marvin the Martian. Wonder Woman, and the final one is Wonder Woman, Tasmanian Devil.
Huh.
Now, who was with Lobo?
Roadrunner.
Mimi.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. Wouldn't it, to me, Tasmanian Devil would fit better with Lobo, but that's just me. I'm sure they've got a great plot to pull this off.
Oh, I'm sure. So, your wish is their command. There will be a second wave of DC Looney Tunes crossovers.
Nice.
And I'm sure there will be a third one based off of... Obviously, this one seems to be... The first wave seems to draw some interest, so we'll probably have another wave in, let's see, probably September, maybe? Maybe if we're going to go on the space of 3 months.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. We'll see. Alrighty. Any special shout-outs this week?
No, just to reiterate what you said before, we extend our condolences and best wishes to Bernie Wrightson's family and friends.
You're here. Okay, well, let's do our normal shout-outs then. First off, May the Martyr for our awesome music for the podcast. Cool group of guys, awesome musicians. If you go to our website, www.thefellowshipwiththegeeks.net, and go to our podcast page, you'll see their logo, and click on that. That'll take you to their page. We'll also have a link on our show notes. Thank you guys so very, very much. Secondly, a shout out to our Pottern family, #Pottern family, for supporting us and spreading the word of the fellowship. You go to Twitter. You don't necessarily have to have an account, but just do a search, hashtag Potter Family as one word. Any kind of podcast you can think of, it's there. Go check it out. Great group of men and women who do some great shows. Just check them out. We appreciate them spreading the word of us, and we've been doing our darndest to return that love. So thank you guys. It's very much appreciated. And of course, a shout out to you, dear listener. Thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for listening to this episode. And thank you for listening to our previous episodes. We are always interested in your feedback. If you have a comment, you have a suggestion, you have questions, you have a complaint, please, we're willing to, we want to listen. We want to hear. We want to hear from you. Several ways you can do that. One is you're going to email us. Email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can also go to our contact page, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Click on the About Us link, and there's a form there that you could fill out, and we'll return your message as soon as we can. Of course, you can contact us through social media. We are on Facebook, the Fellowship of the Geeks, one word. And obviously, we are on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Feel free to follow us on both social medias. And just if you want to do a shout out to us, that would be awesome. We would return in kind. Mikey has his own Twitter account at Mikey Geek, and I have one as well at TomTC Geek. Feel free to follow us and just do a little shout out and say, hey, following you, been checking out the show, and let us know what you think. We'll return in kind. Thank you for the support, of course. And wherever you download our podcast, whether it's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or if you listen to us on YouTube, please rate us, whether it's the star system or thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Please rate us. And if you have a couple extra free minutes, a review would be greatly appreciated. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. I think you got it.
Question of the week?
Let's go with, what's your favorite Bernie Wrightson work?
There you go. Sounds like a no-brainer. All right. Any final thoughts?
Nope, just thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate it. We love you guys. Y'all stay safe. And until next time, read more comics and support your local stores. We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,